I saw where the lottery, at least at the time that I'm speaking, has worked its way up to $1.8 billion. That's a lot. It's so much you wonder, should I?
Absolutely.
That's how they get you. You know, growing up my entire life, I knew people who played the lottery. And I don't know if I know any winners. I just know a few people went missing. And like hard missing too, not even a funeral. Like, I don't know, $1.8 billion. That means even after they tax you, tax is gonna take about half of that, right? Even after they tax you, you're probably gonna be a billionaire. Instantly. A billionaire. And I'm not saying this to like, you know, beat down on anybody or be disparaging, but it's like, who plays the lottery? People who need the money. So imagine needing money and then becoming a billionaire in like a day. A day. You needed 252. You had rent and a car note, and now you're a billionaire. A billionaire. You gotta capitalize the B. It's $1 billion. Even if they get you real good, even if they tax you to death, you're still high millionaire. And with some good investments, you'll hit billionaire over time. Look at. I don't think y'all understand. This is the thing, we think we understand what billion is because billionaires keep playing in our faces. But we have no comprehension of how much money that is because we're people. Forget multiple, a billion. You can't even waste that, $1 billion. You can imagine. Oh, I had some bad investments. $1 billion's worth of bad investments? That's enough to topple a small country. No, because I look at the billionaires of the world and the high millionaires, so almost billionaires of the world. And in a couple of the examples that I'm thinking of, right? If you make it to billionaire status, whether it's through valuation of your country or your company, or you know, whether it's through valuation of your company or just general assets and everything over time, if you hit that billion status and you didn't grow up with a ton of money, like if you're already a billionaire, it almost doesn't count. You know, you'll see billionaires, they're the sons of billionaires, and they'll be like, I made my own thing. It's like, you didn't though. But you didn't. Like you never really did anything. Like it's, and look, I know you probably worked really hard, but your hard work had a $1 billion head start to it. So it's just, you know, you could make a bad idea worth $1 billion. If you put enough money behind it with enough time. Look at Crocs. And look, that's not me. No, look, that's not me just dunking on Crocs for the sake of it. I'm saying as a shoe, you are so unprepared to go into the world. Every time it rains, you kind of feel it. I've had so many fights with my friends over Crocs, and it's not about the Croc or the design or whatever. It's about the fact that it's a Swiss cheese shoe. The holes make it a shoe problem. It is not like okay. I live in New York, and we have far too many. I don't even know the number. We have more, I believe, rats than people. I'm pretty sure there's probably 10 million for every 2 people in New York. And one time I was walking with my friend who had Crocs on. Ill-advised, especially in New York. If you want to wear Crocs in like, I don't know, like a beachy town, go ahead. Yeah, be comfortable. Let your feet breathe. Wearing Crocs in New York City, wearing Crocs in New York City is like wearing a shirt that on the front and the back says, "Please rob me." That's the level of prepared you are to go out into New York City when you're in Crocs. My friend was in Crocs, and we were just walking down the street, okay? Just nice little stroll, having a conversation. And then, as you would expect when you are walking in New York, as it is almost law when you are walking in New York, a rat ran across our path. Some people have to deal with deers in the road. We have to deal with rats on the street. And this rat running across our path judged it wrong. Was a little late. You know, usually when you're walking in New York, a rat will run across you real fast up ahead. This rat must have had some hesitation. You could tell this rat was like, okay. You know what? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. No. I'm not going to do it. Actually, no. You know what? I can do this. I can do this. Let me get. Ah! And then it ran across our path. But by the time it ran across our path, we were at our path. And this is upsetting. Sorry if you're eating. But the rat ran across our path. But by the time it decided to cross the sidewalk, we were already there. So this rat ran right over both my feet. And then it came time to run over my friend's feet. My friend in Crocs. And this rat looked exactly like, you know, with football players doing that spring training with the tires over here. The rat was nimble at first. It got through 2 holes, no problem. Third hole, rat tripped. Animals don't trip like people. You know what I mean? People might trip, be a little embarrassed, but we get up and we know we have a day to continue. If a rat gets tripped up in your crock, that's the rat's whole priority right now. Because to be fair to rats, they get trapped all the time. How is this rat supposed to know this isn't one of those rat traps that take you to rat heaven? And so this rat starts freaking out, starts like trying to pull the other leg out and everything, but then the next leg gets stuck. And so now this rat is, it has been 0.0 seconds, by the way. This rat has already tripped and is stuck in 2 crock holes. And is over here fighting for his life to get out. Is doing whatever he can. This rat over here, And look, I'll be honest with you right now. I don't even know if I imagined it, but I swear I heard it. I heard where the rat got free because I heard the little pull the little foot out of the crock hole and then ran away. And then my friend, who had just been defending his Crocs, had the nerve to be like, I'm like, yeah, cut it off. You need to cut it off. ran over my foot too, but look at me. Intact. No? And so you have even if it's not the company, the CEOs of these companies reach high $1 million billionaire status. You know? And it happens usually over time. Usually, if you don't come from money, you reach billionaire status or high millionaire 20, 30 years of your life. And being a psycho as well, like working 80-hour weeks and like just doing crazy stuff. And sometimes you get to get ahead because you cut some corners or you cheat some people or whatever it is. But then when you turn around and you have this like multi-billion-dollar valuation, you did it. And it took all that time, but like you're, 30 years removed from when you started. These billionaires, these millionaires, the ones that don't come from like extreme wealth, takes 20, 30 years of your life to get that money. And look how evil they are. I can only imagine. I can only imagine what happens if you get it in a day. Look, for any amount of lottery winnings and for any amount of like money, when you dream about money, that's what we do. Someone's like, what would you do with $100 million? And you might even have a list already. What would you do? And you think you know what you would do. And I'm not even saying that people are lying when they say these things. I believe that people really believe this is what they would do with the money. But then you're a billionaire in a day. Nothing can prepare you for that. Nothing can prepare you for that much money being that much power in a day. I don't know, like, I know what I'd like to think I would do with that much money. Because the amount of money that you've been living on is the amount of money you need to live. Like that, like, I know that in the US, like in America, that's like blasphemous to say. But it's like, even when I was broke, the amount of money that I had, which was not enough, was somehow still enough because I'm not dead. Do you know what I mean? And so obviously people need to get by. People deserve a higher quality of life and everything. I'm not saying this to say that if you're barely scraping by, that's all you need and be done with it. I'm just saying that sometimes you can get in your head, especially when you get a little more, that you need a bit more, and then you need a bit more, and then you need a bit more, to the point where people around the country who make six figures say they don't feel rich, right? And some of them making the high six figures. They've done studies about this and about why your brain never turns to rich when it's you and it's over time. You'll see millionaires say, well, I'm comfortable, but I'm not like rich. And then you're glad that it's through a screen, or else you might. But I don't know. I mean, what would that do to a person? A day. A billionaire. Who knows? Maybe money really does change people in a way that you can't even fathom until you have that much money. Maybe you get $1 billion in a day, and out of nowhere, you don't even recognize yourself. $1 billion. And you're just like, wow. Huh. I could use some slaves. I think that... Look, I don't know what makes you so evil as a billionaire over 30 years, but I can only imagine it's exacerbated when it's overnight. Like, I can only imagine it becomes instant when you get the money instantly. That's crazy. Because look, we all have a list. Even if you act like you don't, you do. If you want that much money overnight, you might have a list. There might only be 5 things on your list. Hey, I want to take care of my friends, take care of my family, want to travel, and I want to help in a way that I've been helping, but I didn't have the money to really push the help, right? So that's what, 4, maybe you have 5 things. But then after you do all that, maybe you have some money left over. What do you do with that money? Can you make another list? Can you make a bigger list? Maybe. But if you can't, you just keep trying. Oh, let's fix the roads. Let's try to fix the school system. But then there's still some money left over. What do you do? I think you might lose your mind. That's probably why billionaires are like that. Because think about it. Look, their list didn't have any of the stuff I mentioned on it. But But even though it didn't, it clearly had things that they cared about, whatever those were. And maybe they were only related to their company. Maybe they were only related to more business and getting more money. But even as those things got checked off and you tried to keep up with a list, you tried to make more goals and you were meeting the goals as fast as you were making the goals and everything. And then everyone around you is a yes man because they want some access to that money because they're also trying to climb, right? And then you finally have gone down the list so hard that you're just like, maybe Mars? What about Mars? Mars would be cool, right? Mars would be dope. As people starve. Mars, though, that would be dope. And it's like, yes, it sounds dope. And I hope he goes. I hope he does. That'd be fire. If he went to Mars. No, spend your fortune as the richest man in the world to be the poorest man in the universe. Because I guarantee you spend your whole life and then you finally, let's say it finally happens. You have a voyage to Mars. And let's be as generous as possible. And let's say that the rocket works. You already sent enough stuff there that it's not quite the movie The Martian, but it is like that because you are going to be by yourself. No, I'm just, probably. And then you land in Mars. Richest man in the world. Lands on Mars, gets out, is walking around and realizes that Mars is just like Arizona with some extra tent to it. Looking around oh, okay. Whoops. No, because money is... We'd like to think that it's more than this, and sometimes it is. You can point to points in history where it is more than this, but America is money. Land of opportunity. Opportunity is access, but it's also money. Money is how we define identity. Maybe you don't as a person. Maybe, I don't believe any one person is just their job or their net worth. There are things that you are that are deeper than all that stuff that's going to pass away. But that is how we as Americans define each other, is money. In fact, when you get your identity stolen, it's because they mess with the money. I don't know of anyone who said they got their identity stolen and it was in a Lifetime movie sort of way. I have yet to meet anybody who said they got their identity stolen and they know it was stolen because they came home and there was a dude who looked just like them hugging their wife. And they were like, honey, it's me. And then she was like, And then the imposter was like, don't listen to him, honey. It's me. Can't you tell? And hey, what are you doing in my house? And then the kids run in and they run up to him. Hey, Dad, who's this stranger? What? Kids, it's me. And they're like, we don't know you. Our dad's been home all day. And then you have to fight with this dude. And then, there's somehow a gun in the house that nobody knew about. And Then y'all struggle, and then y'all are spinning, so then nobody knows anymore because y'all were wearing the same thing. Who's the real husband? Who's the fake husband? And you're over, you know, you're just running around, grabbing the gun, knocking the gun out of each other's hands, and then, you know, there's some bounty commercials in the middle because this is a Lifetime movie. But then you pick up the gun and you're like, get out of my home, stay away from my family, right? And then the imposter goes, and then runs up to you and y'all hug one last time. The gun goes off and nobody can tell who was shot until what is it? Until the Nair commercial. You know, like Nair, that one, like... I've watched a lot of Lifetime with my mom and my aunt. And so then they come back from commercial and y'all are both backing up and you're like, Somehow in a movie, whenever somebody has been shot and someone shot someone, they both react the same. I always find that very annoying. The person that pulled the trigger is like, but then the person who was shot is like, And then y'all back up. The gun falls. It falls in the middle. We don't need it anymore. One of you was shot. And everybody's backing up, and then you see some blood. You see blood, and then you see blood because y'all were hugging when it happened. So whoever got shot also bled on the other person. So it's been about 5 minutes and we still don't know who was shot. Very frustrating. And then finally, one of you goes, you'll always be my family. And the other one turns around and looks at you. And the wife and the kids go, Dad! And hug them. And then credits start rolling. The picture gets a little bit smaller because they got to roll the next movie right next to the other movie. So it's like it gets that little half-size thing where the credits are rolling, which actually sort of ruins the end of the movie in case there was any other note of anything that the director wanted. But anyway, and through the credits, through the little tiny half screen, you see the person hugging the family look up at the camera and go, and identity is never stolen that way. It's always stolen in relation to your bank account. No, because that's who you are. That's who you are to the bank, and that's who you are to any business entity is your money and the number that you are. You know. Now look, I would like to think that everybody knows that everyone's more than that, but that is how you break down. That's how you're calculated. You know what I mean? You're moved around as a number, and the numbers that make up the numbers you have are how people see you. You know? So when you get your identity stolen, it's not because they actually stole who you are. They stole who you are in a version of how people see you for your money. Having your identity stolen is terrifying because you don't know when you'll get out from under this. It's you. It's you. But the bank doesn't know that. You might as well show up to the bank like you just got home to see your wife and kids and there is an imposter next to the bank teller's booth right with you. Y'all might as well be shoulder to shoulder. Like, no, I'd like to make a deposit. No, I'd like to make a deposit. Because you also have to factor in what that money doesn't just do to the person, what it does to the people around them. Some of y'all may not remember this. I barely remembered it until I started just reading about people who had won the lottery and what usually happens. Because there's this myth that everyone that wins the lottery goes bankrupt and ruins their life. It's not actually true. It's about half. Which are better odds than winning the lottery. And the difference between the people who crash out and the people who do well are the decisions they make as soon as they win. And now it's almost down to a science. There are people who are financial advisors that seek out lottery winners to help them because they've done it for other lottery winners and stuff. But there was this one woman. It was crazy. This happened in the 90s. I think it was 1990, right? This woman was a server, and she got tipped a lottery ticket. And so she, put that lottery ticket in, and she won. She won $10 million. And then everyone around her turned. The people who were also on shift with her, they tried to sue her. Because I don't know if this is one of those restaurants where, sometimes you work as a server and everyone's tips are pooled together and then you split them at the end of the night. Or if it was just that they were saying that was their table. I don't know what all the lawsuits were, but I also know that the man who tipped her the ticket tried to sue her. Yeah. Her ex-husband even kidnapped her. And she had to shoot him in the chest. The chest is one of the wildest places to get shot. Because there's still some plausible deniability there, but you know where you were aiming. And then the IRS came for her, walls closing in all around money. Because people will do crazy things for money, and people will let the idea of money shape how they treat a person, Money is only second to people in the idea of something that's in front of you that means a bunch of different things. People can mean the whole range of emotions to you, but so can money. If someone won $10 million, if they won $1.8 billion, some people see that as money, but a lot of people see that as hope. They see it as power. They see it as like a salvation out of their problems. They see it as whatever your imagination can mold. Because there are some people that if you got given $1 billion right now outright, there's so much good you do with it. And then there are other people that if you got $1 billion tonight, you'd be like, oh, I have some things to revisit. $1 billion. $1 billion means, you could buy everything around a person. You could buy everything around. Imagine for $1 billion, you could hire a private investigator to find your high school bully. All right. Because let's say they're not on, maybe they're not on social, not everybody is. And so you hire this private investigator to find your high school bully. And maybe this bully gave you like a really catchy, mean nickname, Maybe it was something that happened to you, something real bad. Maybe you got sick at school one day and maybe you didn't make it to the bathroom, right? And so he called you Wet Willie for 4 years, right? In this scenario, your name is Willie. And you hire this private investigator to track him down. Maybe his name's Travis, right? You find me Travis. And so then the private investigator says, hey, I found Travis. He's living in Connecticut, and he's married. And yeah, looks like they're pretty happy. And you're like, okay, this is good to know. And so, with your money, you buy the house that's for sale next to Travis. You're moving in one day, and Travis and his wife are walking in to their home, and you're moving one of the boxes. Nothing in the box. You don't need to move. You can pay people to move for you, but and you're like, oh, hey. Travis? And he's like, oh, Willie, Will, wow, how have you been? wow, this is crazy. Are you? Yeah, I'm moving in. Right next to you. That's crazy. That's crazy. He's like, yeah, that is. Wow. This house has been on sale for months. And now it's, what a coincidence. And you're like, yeah, a coincidence. Yeah, that's what it is. And you see that not only do you have this nice house in front of you, but, ooh, Travis has a phenomenal house, you know? There's an HOA, so they're pretty similar, but overall, very big and very nice, you know? And right then, Travis's wife walks up, Susie. Susie walks up, and she's like, hey, babe. And then he's like, hey, what? Me and William went to high school together. This is my wife, Susie. And you're like, oh, hi. Nice to meet you. You shake her hand, and you're like, wow, this is crazy to just, you move to a new place, and you don't know, usually you don't know anybody, and now I got pals right next door. And Travis is like, yeah, this is wild, man. You should come over for dinner sometime. Come over for dinner. And you're like, oh, wow, how's tonight? And Travis, because this is the thing about bullying. A lot of bullies don't remember what they did. And even if they remember what they did, they remember it in the context of whatever they were going through. And so even if they were like a mean kid, they just remember being a mean kid because other stuff was happening. I don't know how often real bullies think about the fallout of their bullying and what it might have done to somebody present day, So maybe Travis is perfectly pleasant. Easy to believe. It's been a long time, And so he's like, yeah, I think, no. Okay, we do have a little date night tonight, but how about tomorrow? Tomorrow night, we should have dinner. You just come over to our place. We'll cook for you. And you're like, wow, yeah, Travis, it sounds great. All right, I'll see y'all later. You take your empty box. Walk into your new house with no furniture in it. But you don't need furniture. You're here for revenge. The type of revenge that only money can buy. And you're so excited, you don't even know if you can sleep. And so you lay on the floor of your brand new house. Because hate makes you comfortable. And then the next day comes, right? The next day comes and, you've had a private investigator on Travis for a while. You even had a private investigator on Susie. You already know her name. So the next day, during the day, you go over to Susie's workplace, Susie works at a salon, right? And so you go over and you're like, hey, what? This is crazy. Wow. Susie, neighbors, and then I need a haircut? You do hair? Wow. Get Susie to give you a haircut, and when you're getting a haircut, when you're getting the wash, the shampoo, the conditioner, and everything, there's time to talk. You get to know a person. Or pretend to, because you already hired a private investigator. So you land in the sink and y'all are chatting it up, and you're a personable enough individual, so y'all are cackling back and forth. Then at the end, Susie puts the mirror in front of your face, and you're like, wow, a magician. Truly incredible. Thank you so much. And then you go to pay, and then you put a $10,000 tip on your haircut. Susie's floored. What? I can't accept this. You absolutely can. I haven't felt this good in years. You made me look like a new man. In fact, I don't know, like, I'm sorry, I never do this, but like, are you doing anything after work? And Susie's like, yeah, the dinner that we have. And you're like, oh, yeah, that's right. But, okay, what? I don't know. It looks like salon's closing up and everything. Dinner wasn't going to be for a little while. I don't know. Do you want to hang out for a little bit? We're going to end up chatting anyway. Let's just chat. Let's just have a chat, and then, we'll head over to your place. And you're like, does that sound okay? And she's like, yeah, I guess so. It's fine. Yeah, I'll close up here. And then you're like, okay, yeah, hop in my car, right? And she hops in your car. It's very nice. It's ridiculous. It's whatever car is nice for the period we're in. So just imagine. Imagine the type of car, and it is that. And Susie's also impressed. She's like, wow, okay, you must have done very well for yourself. And you're like, yeah, I do all right. Because then, no matter what car it is, I assume it goes fast, right? And then he's like, actually, I know I'm new to the neighborhood and everything, but can I show you something? And she's like, yeah, sure, okay. And you drive. You end up driving to this like little patch of land that's off by the wayside, and there's a small little airfield there, and you park, and Susie's like, what is this? And you're like, oh yeah, I got a call, it was a text while you were doing my hair and everything, and there's just something I have to check out over here. So let's just walk through. And you walk through this little air hangar, and it's to your private jet. And she's like, wow, you have a jet? And you're like, yeah, I do. I mean, I guess it's a false alarm. There's nobody that needed anything. Yeah, nobody's even here. I tell you what. How about this? I know we're supposed to have dinner tonight at your place, but why don't we go to Paris? She's like, Paris? You're like, oh, I'm sorry. Do you prefer Milan? We can go to Milan. What are you even saying right now? I'm like, oh, no, I'm just saying, we're supposed to get dinner. Let's have dinner. You have dinner without Travis. And then she's like, oh. I don't know what to say. What is the tip? And then now he's invited. I'm married. No, I know. I don't know. Now? Yeah, now. Actually, you know what? And then the stairs. Wow, my heart is just skipping a beat. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go. And you're like, great. And so then you both hop on the jet and taxiing and everything. And just before takeoff, you send Travis an audio message of the entire thing. You add a little something at the end. You're like, this is from Wet Willie. Because now you have $1 billion, and you could be good or you could So, because that is how bad things are now. We used to make fun of people that play the lottery, and now it seems like a sound fiscal decision. It sounds like a sound business plan to save a little money, put a little away, and buy some lottery tickets. Just... oh, it's either buy some lottery tickets or, lean in front of a BMW. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta lean in front of a BMW, coming at about, slowing down, so hopefully about 12 miles per hour, you know what I mean? Enough to do some damage, but not quite kill you, you know what I mean? Like when you get hit, it's gonna make that sound. You're gonna hear some stuff. Some of that stuff's gonna be you, and some of it's gonna be the car. You might even lose consciousness for a second, but you will, hopefully wake up and... There's some real technique to it, too. I don't know if you saw that video. There's a dude who you could tell he was too... you could tell he was too nervous. He shouldn't have done this. And not just because it's fraud. He shouldn't have done this because you could tell his heart wasn't in the grift. You know what I mean? His heart wasn't in it. Like, some people, the grift is who they are. They buy into the grift completely. When I was a little kid, my elementary school teacher got into a fender bender, right? And got in a fender bender with this dude and bumped him just enough to get a little bit of separation, but you could tell that she had hit him. And he immediately got out of his car, went into the trunk, pulled out a neck brace, and laid on the ground, right? Which, if you're gonna do that, just wear the neck brace the whole time. Then you'll even convince the person that, I'm not gonna tell you how to grift, but... So if you're gonna do this, you gotta commit. You gotta know long before this BMW takes that turn at the intersection that this is what you're committed to do. And there's a video of this dude. This still cracks me up, right? Okay, so this dude is over here. You can tell he wants to jump in front of the car. Maybe he has the whole insurance scam planned out and everything, can sue, whatever. You just gotta let a BMW hit you and hope it's not a rental. Yeah. Oh, nothing would make you madder than getting hit by a broke person. And so then it's over here waiting, right? And like just from the CCTV, because this is how I watched it, right? Just from the CCTV and the clip, you can tell that there's some nervousness in the knees. Like the knees don't scream commitment. You know what I mean? Like they're not, his feet aren't amped to do it. They're not like hoppy feet. You know what I mean? Like this is like, ooh, I'm gonna do some fraud. Ooh, you about to get defrauded. Right? But he had more of a, oh, okay. All right. Okay. Oh, all right. And you could tell he was thinking too much about how he was going to land. That's the problem. Because you got to know, if you're going to jump in front of a car, you got to know, okay, am I going to be mostly grill or mostly windshield? All right? Both have their drawbacks. All right? Now, grill will push you forward. It'll push you forward an amount that will make you look dead to a bystander. So that is a good way to go if you try to do this with witnesses and witnesses who are not in cahoots with you, right? Windshield is very dramatic, right? Windshield is very theatrical. Usually when you see, they do a lot of windshields on like Law and Order SVU. That's usually, like when somebody running from the cops and they can't seem to catch them. They give them just enough room for them to run out of the streets for the cop who didn't feel like running to hit them with the cop car.
It's always very convenient when it's like 3 cops and then 2 of them run after a suspect and then one of them is like, oh, all right. And then sure enough, they're always there at the right time to just bow, right? Now, if you're gonna go windshield, just know that some glass could crack, okay? And it's worse if it doesn't. If the glass doesn't crack at all, you got hit by a big bullet, okay? But if the glass cracks and you roll over the glass and maybe you land on the side of the car, that also looks very bad. But depending on how you hit the windshield depends on how believable the hit is. Because when you get hit by the grill, you're just taking the hit, right? Just boom, boom. High risk of being hurt. Very high risk. Windshield looks a little bit more, oh no. Ooh, you got me. Oh, what will I do, right? Because you can't really control your body as it gets hit and it's on the windshield. So you hope you go over the windshield. That looks like a very bad hit. But if you stay on the windshield, it starts to look like your fault even if it wasn't. Like it's just, the optics aren't great. And if you slide off to the front, it looks like you didn't get hit fast at all. And so you see this dude, okay, all right. And then he goes for it. But not only did I see him in the clip, in the CCTV video, like thinking about it too hard. The person in the BMW also saw him thinking about this very hard. And it didn't help that he chose to do this at an intersection, which means they were going to be slowing down anyway. And so then he finally goes to jump into the street, and they've already come to a short stop because they saw him coming. But look, he's already put a lot of thought into this. He will not be denied. And so even though the car is almost at a full stop, he goes, Obviously, the claim didn't go far. But you could do that, or you could play the lottery. You know what I mean?
Because I really do hope that the person or the people that win, have a good life and do something well with it. There's so many scams now. Sometimes if the person's identity is known, that's actually what ruins their life, because then there are scammers who will never meet this person, don't know this person, but then they will masquerade as them online, hitting up people around this person, trying to get whatever private information so they can scam that other person, not even the lottery winner, And it's why people have become more savvy. Now you have lottery winners all over the world, not just in the US, and not just for the Powerball, Mega Millions or any of that. Now you have lottery winners in the US show up with a ski mask on. So many lottery winners look like they're there to rob the lottery. And I don't know. I just look at the lottery as maybe one of the best metaphors we have for how America is. Because we all participate. That money is pooled together, and it is, and I don't mean in terms of ownership, I just mean in terms of how the money came to be there. It is all of our money. It is all of our money pooled together for 1 to 6 people to have. In fact, sometimes you'll watch the lottery. You'll watch someone win and you'll be like, wow, I worked at a company like that. That's crazy.
Because some of what the lottery of trying to make it in America is luck. We like to think it's hard work because then that means everybody could do it. But it's not actually the case. I know people who have worked hard my entire life and they were on a hamster wheel. They were on a treadmill and they were just trying to keep up because somebody was pressing the speed up on the hamster wheel. That's what it feels like is happening to everybody right now. You know, you're doing your best and the speed just keeps... And then, you know, some people are on a treadmill where the speed just keeps getting increased. Some people, look, to their credit, they have some golden handcuffs. Maybe they're doing a little bit better than everybody, but the margins that they live in are just as thin. And so they're on like a Stairmaster. They're up higher than the people on the treadmill, but, you know, they still run the risk of falling off at any given point. And so the other person's running as hard as they can. This person's stepping as high and as fast as they can. Because if they can skip a step, it's not going to keep them good forever, but it'll keep them level for a while. And so everybody's working as hard as they can. People who make six figures are still thinking, I don't really have enough to get by. That sounds crazy to anybody who's living off of less than 50K, somewhere where the standard of living, you need to be at like 80K. There are people scraping to get by. And so rather than just accepting that this gym sucks, people just keep going as hard as they can until they either their heart gives out or they end up in one of those like fail videos. Oh. Because look, it's $1 billion. It's a billion. That's a lot. And I know it's the lottery, and I'm just making an example. I'm not specifically speaking to everyone to like go run up to the lottery office or something. Like that's not what I'm trying to say. I think that we have let the lottery basically become one of the better ways to get ourselves out of a mess, you know? And it only gets you out of the mess. Maybe you can bring some people along with you. That's nice. That is nice. But you don't know everybody. You know what I mean? Like, you know your friends and your family, and that'd be very sweet for you to take care of your friends and your family, but you don't know everybody, and you don't know everybody's intentions. You don't know what everybody's going to do with the money. You don't even know if giving some of these people the money is the best thing to do. You have no idea. And maybe it's why, speaking outside the lottery now, maybe it's why, like, people shouldn't be able to amass that level of wealth. Not because I want to take from somebody the thing that they have for whatever reason. Maybe they really did earn it. I don't see how, but like maybe they really did earn it. Maybe they deserved every like $50 million bonus that they ever gave themselves, right? Maybe they know their heart and they know that they really deserve this money. But maybe you know, they laid off a bunch of people and they bought a bunch of stock back and they did some stuff to do some stuff to get some stuff, you know? And so I'm just saying is, you know, it's one thing when it's a lottery, it's a different thing when it's like our entire, you know, because then they wonder, I don't know. Then they wonder, they're like, why is everybody so mad at us? It's like, oh, you can't not really get it. It seems crazy. And look, don't get me wrong. I'm an American. I would love $1 billion. It's probably part of the problem. I don't expect everyone to know or care about what's happening in New York, you know? Which is why I was surprised that the nation seems so gripped by New York City's mayoral race. Like, this, people talk about it everywhere because I think it's just feels like a beta test for something bigger. You know? In case you're not familiar with who's running, right? You have to understand who's running to understand what's happening. Eric Adams is the mayor of New York City. And Eric Adams, in case you don't know, is one of the worst people at corruption I've ever seen. Like you know what I mean? Like have a little mystery about you. Like it's just, I feel like I could pay him off. You know what I mean? Like it's just, like one day when they make, like his corruption is just, it's not enough. You know what I mean? If you're gonna be corrupt, go all in. He'd be having me feel bad for him. You know what I mean? You did all this corruption, that's all they gave you? You should have asked for more. It was very upsetting. If they ever revisit this chapter in New York mayoral history, everybody gonna be disappointed. Be like, flights? He went down for flights? Just tickets? You know what I mean? You had a dude in Illinois at least going down for gold bars. That's real corruption. That's like cartoon corruption. You know what I mean? Like he took it back to the 50s level corruption. Break me off some gold bars, I'll get you anything you want. That's mustache twiddling, tie women to railroads corruption. That's crazy. And you over here embarrassing us as New Yorkers. This is a very rich city, and you going down for a couple flights to Turkey. Turkey! It's insane. But anyway, this dude got indicted while in office, but because he has no shame, everybody was like, he gonna step down, right? Like he got stepped down once he's indicted. That's too embarrassing to go to work indicted. The closest thing I can imagine to like, okay, okay, this is bad, my bad. Look, so when I was a kid, I mean, I was a little bit older, but my buddy's dad got in trouble, and he got a little time. He had to do like a year, right? But he did, one of the crimes, I still don't understand this, one of the crimes where you get to report to jail. Like you get to report to, that's always weird, because whenever you watch Law and Order, they take you like jail start right after usually that's jail, you know what I mean? Like usually they take you out, I didn't do it. Right? But for some reason, they told him he was guilty, but they let him get his stuff in order and he could report to jail. And that weekend, his son, my friend, took the car without permission and came home a little later than curfew. And clearly, his kid may be like acting out of frustration about things that are going on with his dad, but he gets home and his dad's very upset with him, and he's like, you didn't ask for permission for the car, you're supposed to be home by 10, I'm sorry, but you're grounded. And my buddy was like, no, I'm just throwing it out there, because which one of us got to go to jail on Monday? Like, it sounds like you grounded. It sounds like you really the one in trouble here. And that's kind of what it felt like with Adams. He's like, still trying to be a mayor, talk about crime and stuff. Over here talking about crime in the city. And so then you also have Curtis Sliwa. And Curtis Sliwa is the Republican running. And he's an interesting dude. He's like the head of the Guardian Angels. If you don't know what the Guardian Angels are, they're basically these people who hang out on the subway. You know the movie The Warriors? All right, it's like that, but if one of the gangs wanted to be the police. Like, all they really do is just fight black and brown people that they think are doing a crime and sometimes lose the fight very badly because they are getting older. And Curtis Lee, like, I guess I could slightly see how someone like him ends up like him because he does have a story of violence against him for every story you bring up about New York City. Like, you'll be like, hey, do you ever take the yellow cab? He's like, I was shot in the back of a yellow cab in 1986. So you're like, how has this much happened to you? But Curtis Lee was running as a Republican. And then you have Andrew Cuomo. Andrew Cuomo is a former governor. And now he is running for mayor because governor turned out so well. And then you have Zoran Mamdani. And Zoran Mamdani almost feels like a fixture of politics at the moment because he is someone who seems to be the antidote for the thing that's been ailing the Democratic Party maybe for like 9 years. You know? This is a dude who is running on what he will do and his own policies that he believes in. And it's one of the first people, Democrat or Republican, that is running without really having to say anything about Trump. He has his own ideas. He has things he wants to do for the place that he is running. He's not running on being not like Trump or closer to Trump or someone Trump will call or someone that Trump hates. He is not using Trump in his orbit. People bring him up, but he himself is saying, I want to make the buses fast and free. I want to have free child care. I want to freeze the rent for rent-stabilized homes. And I want to make sure that we, hold bad landlords accountable. Things that are very specific, because that's the other thing that it feels like the Democratic Party has been missing, is a clear and concise plan for a policy, something that you can attach yourself to that you don't really need to get in the weeds for. Because I'm not saying that Democratic senators and Democratic candidates have not had good plans. I'm just saying that once you need a graph, we are a country that doesn't like to read. It doesn't matter if it's a pie chart, it's still reading. Because one of the things that they've come after Mamdani about over and over and over again about his policies, how are you going to pay for it? How are you going to do this? How do you plan to pay for it, right? And one thing that he's done very well is had a quick and simple explanation for his plans to pay for something, So when they ask him about maybe the bus system or maybe more rent stabilization, he'll say, we already spend this much money. So for the buses, he's like, we already generate $700 million in a bus fare. I think that would, is clearly money that we could use towards a free bus system. Also, all we have to do is raise the corporate tax rate and we'll have billions of extra dollars that could go towards childcare, billions of extra dollars that could go towards like a bus system. And then they're like, well, how do you plan to pay for it? Raising the corporate tax. Well, what will happen? If you raise the corporate tax, people will leave. Will you raise the corporate tax too? And he'll be like, I'm just raising it to the same as New Jersey. Like what they already do right there. Like they actually already do it over there. I guess you didn't know that, but it's already, I would just copy them. It wouldn't be higher than that. I would copy what they do over there. And I don't know, is everyone dead in New Jersey? I don't think so. I don't think everybody left. In fact, a lot of people moved there. So I think they'll be fine. But I don't think that Zoran is leading in the polls or is the Democratic candidate because of his clear and concise policy. I don't even think it's his youth. I don't even think it's because he's captured a moment. I think that he is the front runner because he, more so than anybody else, to a degree I've never seen before, is the number one. I'm telling you, the number one of all time, the number one Andrew Cuomo hater. He hates this dude. He hates this dude so much. He hates this man. He wake up and hate him. He wake up and he hate him with a smile too. You ever had somebody hate you with a smile? It makes you feel crazy. You're like, what you just said to me was foul, but you're smiling. Why are you smiling? No, he hates this dude. And look, don't get me wrong, they all hate him. Like every candidate hates Cuomo. Eric Adams hates Cuomo so much that even though he had zero chance of winning, even though he was actually campaigning, this man was like, look, I'm gonna do it better next time. And we're like, do you mean crime? Do you mean... Eric Adams, he's even, look, to his credit, he is stumping with Cuomo. He's over there side by side with Cuomo and everything, probably looking for a job because he's about to be out of one. You know what I mean? Like, he is out there with Cuomo, but you can tell he hates this dude. Sliwa hates him. Curtis Sliwa hates Cuomo. He hates Cuomo so much that he was actually asked by a reporter, you know, you're over here getting about 11% in the polls. Why not drop out if you don't want Zoran to win that much? Why not drop out? And clearly the people voting for you might also vote for Cuomo. And then Curtis Sliwa looked really offended. He was like, why would I drop out? People like me. This man is running as a Republican in New York City, and he's still like, I'm not going to drop out if it helps him. Zoran Mondani hates Cuomo. He hates that dude so much. Hates him so effectively. Real hate. I've never hated somebody so much. I learned all their stats. Zoran hates Cuomo so much, he memorized everything Cuomo ever did wrong and bring it up any chance he get. That's generational hate. I think Andrew Cuomo hates Andrew Cuomo because he running. It's like, why are you putting yourself through this? You know, man. Because then you look at the debates. Okay. This is very important. I got to go back in the story for a second because Andrew Cuomo wasn't always hated. Even if you hate him right now, think back to a time where you didn't even know who he was. That time he was like beloved. People forget all about it because that's kind of what we do whenever somebody has lost favor in the public eye. A lot of people say they never liked them or that they don't really know why anyone ever liked him. But people loved Cuomo, especially 2019 into 2020. People loved that dude. People loved Cuomo so much. I think that's why people hate him so much now. Because everything he did feels like such a betrayal of their love. People were out here calling themselves Cuomo-sexuals. Look it up. That's a real thing. People loved him so much. And then he got popular around the same time that like zaddy became a term and everything. So he was riding some of that wave and stuff. And you know, there were people, oof. Cuomo couldn't go anywhere without middle-aged women fawning. They were like, oh, he's so handsome. They loved Cuomo. And then COVID came. And for a little while, they loved him even more because New York's numbers during COVID looked really, really bad initially. Obviously, it would. It's an epicenter of travel. People go there from all over the world. And we're also on top of each other all the time, pandemic or no pandemic. But then we saw these huge numbers that scared everybody. And Cuomo's like, we're going to take this seriously. We're going to lock everything down. And he announced a bunch of policies. As soon as he announced those policies went into effect. And you saw the numbers crater. It was genuinely amazing to watch. It really felt like there was a lot of hope and everybody was going to live. And this is a long time before the vaccine came out or anything. So it was when people were at peak fear, right? But it was It was a wild time in New York because we had shut down so effectively that for the first time in New York City, the air was clean. You could take a deep breath. And then later, there was a scandal. Basically, it was exposed that Cuomo was doing some of the same things that Ron DeSantis was accused of doing in Florida, because Florida also had some pretty good numbers during COVID, which is weird because they didn't have any real shutdowns. They didn't have any real mask regulations or anything like that. But then both Cuomo and DeSantis were caught just not reporting or telling people not to report certain numbers. And it turned out that New York was looking really, really good in certain sections of the lockdown, except for nursing homes. And so the thing that's really important about that is that if you see the numbers going down and you've set up a bunch of policies, you'll think, okay, we should just keep doing this, see if the numbers go down further, right? If the numbers go up, you're like, clearly we need to change something. So because we did not have those markers of spikes, we didn't change things. And so there were a lot of seniors that died that didn't need to. They died in nursing homes because of protocols that just didn't have enough evidence around them and weren't the best practices, right? And he was covering it up. Some were saying by 50%, right? And so people started to like him a heck of a lot less. And then at the same time, basically in tandem, he was accused by about 11 women of sexual harassment. Then it was 13. That's stats. Those are numbers. Double digits, you doing it. You are clear. 13 women who don't know each other all got a story about you. That's you. You doing it. All of a sudden, nobody was Cuomo-sexual anymore. And everybody was telling this dude to resign, but he tried to fight it. He was like, I'm going to fight these allegations. You're going to see my name's going to be cleared. And we were like, all right, but even if they clear your name on these sexual harassment allegations, you still did the nursing home thing. And so everybody from Joe Biden to Eric Adams was telling this dude to resign. And he finally resigned 2021. And now he's running for mayor. That's just important to make sure you know, because I've watched people struggle before in a way that was kind of what looked like a bit of a lost cause. I try to be optimistic for people that are in my life, but I'll give you an example. My buddy wanted to enter an arm wrestling contest, and we are built the same. I'm never going to tell anybody not to follow their dream, but I won't let someone sleepwalk off a building. And so I was like, are you sure? Because, you look like a mirror right now, and I'm not entering any arm wrestling. But he's like, no, I want to do it. Been watching online. It's so cool. There's actually a tournament coming up. I want to go. And so, I went with him. We went, and this dude squares up. It was one of those ones where they got the peg on one side, so you grab it, and they got your arm with the pad for your elbow. And sure enough, they went. And as soon as they started, he was over here. Oh! 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 And I couldn't believe that this man was actually winning. He was like pushing the arm down, and then he won. I was surprised. Like when people got that farmer strength? You don't see any real definition of muscle. It's all smooth, but they're incredibly strong. I was like, maybe that's him. And then I watched him from round to round. This man got to the semifinals. And at the semifinals, somebody walked up who really did look like a final boss. In my head, I was like, you've done very well for yourself. It's time to pack it up before he take that arm for good. It's going to pop right out the socket. You're going to leave with one. And sure enough, he squared up. told him to go, and he, oh! But this was different. This dude wasn't really moving, but he was really strained, even leaning a bit. Oh, and then he started to make noises he hadn't made in the other rounds. Oh! Oh! Once you scream in an arm wrestling contest, you have lost something. This man, oh, 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 oh. And he's straining, and he's straining, and he's straining till finally he goes, oh, oh. And he won. Now, to be fair, he won because the other guy went, ugh! And apparently that is a disqualification. Yeah, even when we were in the car ride home, we did have to leave. He didn't get to go to the finals because even when we were in the car, I was over there trying to be optimistic. I was over there like, at least you won. I give you an example of how much Zoran Mamdani hates Andrew Cuomo. In the first debate, right? In the first debate, it was Curtis Lewa, Zoran Mamdani, and Andrew Cuomo all on stage together. Really, the race is between these two, but every once in a while we throw Curtis a question. And Cuomo's talking, and he goes, look, this is not a job. Being a mayor of one of the richest, biggest cities in the country is not a place for on-the-job experience. You know, this guy's never had a job before, and I don't think he can run the city. He definitely can't run it like I can. I can do a much better job. This is not a job for experience while you're in it. You gotta know, you gotta come with plans of what you're gonna do. And then, to his credit, Zoran, you know, it's like, I do have plans for what I'm gonna do. I've stated my plans clearly. Your only plan is to attack me. And Cuomo also came at him with a couple of things that are like talking points that a bunch of the candidates have used that they're not really clicking for me, but I don't know. Maybe I just don't have enough Islamophobia to have it register. But one of the things that Cuomo brings up is like, this man still, you know, won't denounce the phrase globalize the Antifada. All right? You know, he's over here lobbing accusations at me. He still won't denounce the phrase globalize the Antifada. What Andrew Cuomo is referring to, supposedly, is a time where someone else said it and Zoran didn't, I guess, tackle them. This isn't language that he used. It's not something he said. It's something that someone else said that I guess he didn't do enough about in Cuomo's eyes, right? Mamdani responded, well, look, you're talking about things that are from 2020. And since we're talking about things that are from 2020, I don't know why, you know, people would elect a mayor who sent so many seniors to their deaths in nursing homes. You know, what I lack in experience, I make up for in integrity. And for what you lack in integrity, you could never make up for in experience. And I've never watched any debate like a rap battle. I was sitting in front of the computer like, oh! Get him! No, it's wild. Even Curtis Lewa got in digs on Cuomo. Cuomo was catching it from all angles. Because then, they were talking about the accusations that had been lobbed at Cuomo during his time as governor. And Curtis Lewa goes, really? You spent all that money defending yourself? Really? All 13 women are lying, Andrew? All 13 women? This man hates Cuomo so much, he is standing up for women as a Republican. This dude hates Cuomo with all his heart. Oh, this dude hates Cuomo so much. And then the second debate was even worse. There was a moment in the second debate where the candidates were allowed to ask each other a question. It was just question and answer. They couldn't go back and forth. You just got a question, you had to answer. And Cuomo went over on Mondani and he was like, you took a picture with this leader in Uganda. Did you know that this leader is actually someone who denounces all rights for gay people? They've actually worked on making it illegal to be gay in Uganda. And you took a picture with them. And Zoran answered, listen, at the time, I did not know this person's policies. I took a picture with this person. If I had known, I would not have taken that picture, full stop, right? And then it was Zoran's turn. And Zoran asked, he was like, Mr. Cuomo, in 2021, you were credibly accused by 13 women of sexual harassment. And in that time, you spent $20 million of taxpayer funds to defend yourself from all of these women. And you've lobbed, lawsuits, and you've worked with judges for gag orders and everything. You filed defamation suits on all these women. You have actually tried to obtain gynecological medical records of some of these women. Well, one of those women, Charlotte Bennett, is actually here tonight in the audience. And she can't even tell her story or speak for herself because you've lodged a defamation suit against her. But I can speak, so I want to ask on all of their behalfs, what do you say to the 13 women that accused you of sexual harassment? And it's in that moment I realized I wasn't hating to my full potential as a person. You know what I mean? Like, I am a C-tier hater when it comes to this level of hate is unprecedented. I thought Kendrick hated Drake. This is truly wild. Because what can you do if you're Cuomo? I'll tell you what he did. He went, You went to Uganda? Truly, I have not seen a face like that on a person. Like Andrew Cuomo's face when it was happening. I hadn't seen anyone make a face like that since my friend won his arm wrestling contest. I feel like the same thing was happening to Cuomo that happened to my buddy. Very bad. Whew. And Zoran is still leading in the polls, And one of the reasons that I think that he's still leading is because some of these efforts to stop Mondani have only helped him. Only helped him because billionaires have come out in force against every policy and against Zoran as a candidate. And that says a lot. They're like accidentally making him more popular. President Trump even said that if Zoran wins, he may have to mobilize the National Guard, take over New York City, which would be not just like a spit in the face to an open, free, and fair election, but what messaging does that look like to you? That you might have to send the National Guard and take over a city if the dude who wants free pre-K wins? You know? Like all their efforts, they've spent so much money. Zoran himself has said, y'all are spending way more money on ads trying to campaign against me than I was even going to tax you. You don't want it that bad. And why don't you want it that bad? That's crazy. There's something happening here. And I think that's why it's got so much tension across the nation. I think that, America's very good at telling a story, and America is a salesman unto itself. It's like a salesman of a dream and of an idea. And people, one of the things that Trump and other people have said about Zoran is that he's a communist. He says he's a socialist, but he's a communist. And maybe that would have worked like 20 years ago. That might have worked. But we are a capitalist country. We all live in capitalism. And it's going poorly enough for enough people that they're willing to try anything. So calling someone a communist, this sort of Russia red, China red scare, it just doesn't hit the same when people are working jobs and still can't afford to feed their families. And then along comes someone with not just a lot of energy, but a lot of hope that says it doesn't have to be this way. Look at what they do over there. If we just did what they do over there, we'd be able to have more things for us, which is our money anyway. A lot of people have this misconception that the money that a corporation makes is all theirs and was all earned. But they got that money from how much they pay their workers, how much they actually provide for their consumers. And you see that when left up to their own devices, they skimp on, let's say it's just food. They skimp on ingredients. They skimp on workers. They skimp on. And then one day when they have $1 billion valuation, we look at them as if to tax them would be taking their $1 billion instead of just taking back what is owed to the people that made them great. And so I think that what is so scary for people about Zoran that really don't like him is that he is a reminder to a lot of people that you are a citizen. You're not a consumer. You are a constituent. You're not a customer. Like the story that gets told now, especially by our politicians, is that if you ask for what is owed to you, what is actually yours, you're asking for a handout. But you already paid for these things and you pay them. So the idea that these people would all stand together in unison against this person who just wants to make the bus free should tell you something. And all of them stand together against him in the way that they are, with all the money they're throwing at him and with all the fear mongering that they're doing. It is having the opposite effect, because now to vote for him, even if you don't even like him, you get to stick it to a billionaire, people you already don't like. So what you've accidentally done is made voting for him like kind of cool as well. It would be like if you didn't want someone to date someone else, but the way that you lobbed things at them, the things that you said about them to try to discourage this person from dating this other person would be like if you sat them down and said, oh, you don't want to get with him. No, his penis too big. He's just... You don't even want those problems. You don't...